Welcome to Inside Comcast. I'm your host, Lisa Aprati. In this week's show, we'll take you to Navy Pier for the Kups Purple Heart Cruise. Navy Pier was the site for the revival of the late Sun-Times columnist Irv Kupsinet's Purple Heart Cruise. Over 400 veterans were honored for the sacrifices they made for our freedom. One of the veterans even received a special gift. Kups' grandson David made the comeback cruise a success after its 12-year hiatus.
It's definitely the tradition, the service. It doesn't matter where you're at or what you're doing. It's almost like you've joined a new brotherhood.
Well, I think it's really from the heart of Illinois and the heart of America. The people of our country really appreciate the service of our veterans, many of whom have given their limbs and their health to our country, our democracy, and this cruise is a token of our esteem for them.
For a soldier, the war is over, at least for a little while, the moment he is wounded.
The veterans of this nation were certainly this nation's most important assets, and if they were not taken care of properly by the government or by the nation itself, Kup felt that it was his responsibility to step up and make it happen in his own way. I remember all the time growing up when Kup would tell me all the time about the veterans coming home from the Second World War, and he'd see them with these terrible injuries. And now all you have to do is turn on the TV and you see people 19, 20, 21, 22 years old coming home from the fields of battle, and they've got terrible injuries, and they come home to face even harder hardships than the wounds themselves.
Marines went down, Marines were shot. And I knew this, but the right thing to do is move on.
My experience was, November 11, 2004, where it was my second tour of Iraq, and that was a life-changing experience for me. I kicked open a door in Fallujah, Iraq, and I was met with insurgency gunfire. As I was exiting the room, I was shot multiple times, and the worst time I got shot in the face. Due to my injuries, I lost 22 teeth. 20% of my tongue was gone. All my jaws, all titanium. The bullet is still lodged in the back of my throat. And I'm a miracle Marine. That's what I call myself, miracle Marine.
It doesn't matter what branch, where you're at. It's just the traditions and stuff run so deep, and you can always count on each other no matter what. And that's why we're out here supporting these gentlemen today, because they really paved the path for us.
Right now, the technology we have today is so sophisticated. I give my hats off to the World War II, the Korean, and the Vietnam vets, because they didn't have the stuff that we had. And, every time I meet a Vietnam veteran or World War II veteran, I thank them for their service, because they did have a lot harder than I did.
All along the route, they were harassed by communist fire from front and rear. Now they're getting set for a breakthrough during a Korean Valley Forge.
In the process of having veterans sign up for the cruise, I got to know one of the veterans' wives very well. She and I got to talking, and she told me that her husband Larry, who was signed up for the cruise, had served in both World War II and in Korea. And in Korea, he received a Purple Heart. But before he came home, or shortly thereafter he came home, he lost the medal. And I said, this doesn't seem right. We've got to do something about this. After all, this is the Purple Heart Cruise.
This is to certify that the President of the United States of America has awarded the Purple Heart to Sergeant First Class Lawrence C. Crucial, United States Army, for wounds received in combat action against hostile enemy forces during the Korean War.
The Kupsinet family deserves tremendous credit. Their grandfather, Irv Kupsinet, started this cruise many, many years ago, and Jerry and his son David have done a tremendous job at reviving it, and I think it's a great Chicago and Illinois tradition to thank our veterans.
If you would like to make a donation to Kups Purple Heart Foundation, you can log on to the website at kupspurpleheartfoundation.org. Thank you for joining us on this week's edition of Inside Comcast. Please log on to our website at cn100.tv and click on Inside Comcast to see more of our CN100 things to do. I'm Lisa Aprati, and I'll see you next week.